Stuart, I have a question. This is Tom.
Most home.
Um, After last Monday's class, when you spoke about growing and money and affording to come to the retreat, I was very upset. And the next morning during meditation, still I was very torn up. And suddenly, uh, there was a glimpse of a cartoon girl in a lace apron, and I heard, "Don't be shy, be a pumpkin pie." And it was absurd and yet clear inside at the time. The message, it wasn't telling me to do anything or not do anything, but it helped to solve the condition that I was in. And could you speak about guidance from within that you've had during your life?
Yes. I mean, my whole life, literally, Tom, has been based on that. Even before I met Ruth. Please sit still. If you move, it really disrupts the class. Um, uh, Look, even before I met Rudy, I lived in a world where the subjective guidance was really above everything else. And I used to listen to it, and it helped me resolve many, many, many problems in my life. I never trusted, even as a young man, what was in the objective world. It was always an illusion to me. It was something, transient that, okay, today it's this, tomorrow it's that, it's the other. It was constantly changing its costume. And I knew by going inside myself. I mean, I'll give you an example, Tom. This is something you know very well. That house we built in Denton, Texas, I went to the bank and I asked them for $150,000 to build that unbelievable place that we built there, which was pretty cheap. And they offered me half. They literally offered me half. I mean, the guy wanted us to, forfeit the house, I'm sure. It was,
They collateralized everything.
yeah. And they offered me half. And I finally, a voice said, take it. You will get the money to do this. We finished the house. And the money came. And that voice said, take it. That was my connection with spirit. And it said, just do this, take it, you will finish that house. And boy, I had to work. And in order to round up the money I had to go up and scream in the cosmos. I was under so much pressure. And I never told anybody in the ashram about this, really. But that was the kind of pressure I was living under. And the only way to resolve it was to go up in the cosmos and ask and say, I need this energy to resolve this situation. And it came. They sent it. So what I'm saying is you can resolve any problem. I mean, it was the same thing when I constantly tell the story about Rudy telling me to buy that building, you know? And I smiled. I said, Rudy, I have $600 to my name. He said, anyone can do it with money. I mean, that was typical Rudyism, right? And I said, you're right. Anyone could do it if they have a lot of money. And a month later, I bought the building. It was a small shopping center. We renovated it, had a really successful restaurant. And I mean, became a pretty incredible situation. But the only way it worked is I had to go deep inside myself and go up into the cosmos to get the energy. And all I did was use this meditation practice to go up to get the energy to make these things happen. And they always told me, do it, do the impossible. You can make it work. And I learned how, first of all, not to be afraid of money. not to be afraid of succeeding at things, not to be, and to trust that this higher force of energy, if you surrender deeply enough inside and work on yourself, that energy will come and guide you and make things possible in your life. And I can't tell you how many experiences like this, I mean, in the art business, it used to happen every day. I got a call from a partner, Sotheby's wants to do a private sale with a certain bronze, and it has all the provenance, and it's completely legal, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, 6 figures. And my voice said, my inner voice said, do it. So we did it. And eventually sold this thing and made an awful lot of money on it. So you got to trust your inner voice, your intuition, your connection with spirit. But then you got to work your ass off. Understand? You don't sit around being entitled to get successful. You've got to do the work. And I have never been disappointed. I shouldn't say that. There was a 10-year period I was living like in the book of Job. It was really something very difficult, but it passed. And they kept telling me it will pass. But if you don't trust that voice, what you start trusting is your fear, your insecurity, your thoughts, the conflict in your mind, the resistance in you and anyone to become successful. And that never works. I learned that because Rudy said anyone can do it with money. That's what he told me.
Oh,
But then I had to use my work inside. And it was all connecting with higher energy in the universe that made it possible for that to happen. I mean, I'm not a genius. I'm not anyone, one of these bankers in Wall Street that, hedge funds that control trillions of dollars. I mean, I was never interested in money when I was younger. The only reason I ever got involved with money is I was running an ashram and people had to eat. Mortgages had to be paid. And it forced me to learn how to go up into the cosmos to make situations work and never allowing defeat to be in the equation. And the strangest thing of all was after 9 years of doing that in Texas, I realized I cannot be here anymore. If I spend another year in this place, it'll be the end of my life. And I surrendered the whole thing and went to New York. Started all over again. Because I knew another year in that place would have been I had done whatever I can do. That house, that bakery, that candy business, that everything I developed, the restaurant, everything that was developed there, I had done what I can do. I needed another way of living. And I said, fine, I will give it up. Gave the ashram away and half the business away. And I went to New York, started an antique Oriental art store, which eventually became very successful. You want answers, they all exist inside yourself. Your connection with infinite energy in the universe will provide you with the energy to accomplish miracles in life. Want to go to a retreat? Trust me, you go in yourself, you go up there, they'll send you the money. Somehow it'll come. I promise you. You want to finish that house of yours? Been going on for a million years now. Go up in the cosmos and start screaming at them. But use it in a way where it really is spiritual. And it's part of your spiritual growth, not, you know, a greedy way of making money, you know, but just part of your growth, your connection with God, the way you're going to use that house so that you can contribute something to the elevation of mankind, maybe, you know?
Uh, hmm.
Otherwise, we live in a world of defeat. It's a world of greed. Yeah, greed makes a lot of success, stepping over people, kicking them in the teeth, you know, killing people. It creates a lot of success in them, but it also creates madness and insanity and tension and a world that people have a very difficult time living in. And I've never met a human being who doesn't have it inside them to do what I'm talking about. I've met very few people that do it. They always have excuses. But everybody has chakras. Everybody has mind. Everybody has breath. Everybody has will. Everybody has some kind of a need to succeed in life at something. That's my answer. And and it doesn't take joy away, respect for people. Even that banker, I'll never forget, I shook his hand and said, "Thank you, let's do it." He had to go back to his board. And then they called me up. The Chamber of Commerce called me up and said, the people, I'll never forget this, the people that want to run the Miss Denton contest have backed out. And we thought this would be a perfect thing for the ashram to do. I mean, the Chamber of Commerce called me up and said that to me. And Miss Denton was a very important thing in that town because two Miss Dentons won Miss America. You know, really true. So this was like a major event. And they said, will you do this? So I said, why not? Let's have some fun. We had fashion shows and craft fairs. It was incredible, And Bob Sink was totally involved.
And
Miss
the
America.
uncle
What?
the uncle of Miss America poured our concrete, remember?
Yeah.
George was his last name.
Yeah,
Phyllis George's
his
uncle.
mother
Yeah.
put on a fashion show with Bob Sink in the restaurant. I mean, it's true. I mean, life is extraordinary. The belly dancing club we ran there. I mean, I had a friend of mine named Army Armstrong, who used to be a truck driver, and he was really a good friend of mine. And he came up to me and one day he said to me, Stuart, you really have goosed this town. So I said, what do you mean, Army? He said, well, this belly dancing thing. I mean, there used to be 100 people lined up to get to see Sharon dance. I'll never forget it. It was unbelievable in Baptist America. It was totally extraordinary. It gave me such a laugh and a chuckle to see that manifest that way. And to see these doctors and mayors and all the people that came, they were all, starched out people sitting there having the time of their life with this belly dancing. How to run an ashram. Again, Sharon was sent by God. She and her husband, that 90-year-old guy, 80-year-old guy with a beard, white beard down to the floor, and that kid that came in the door. I said, there they are. God has just sent them. We started talking, and I said, you're hired. I didn't even audition her. She was so beautiful and so charming and so wonderful. I said, you're hired. Come. And then she put on a show. Wow. It was extraordinary. And she refused to take money. I had to force her eventually to take money. She said, I love dancing in this place. I don't want any money to do it. I said, Sharon, something. So we finally arrived at a price.
Her her husband Wes was a Sufi, right?
Oh, I don't know what he was.
So he said.
He was an old
So he
hippie.
said.
He was an
Yes.
old hippie, and he was fun. I really like those two. They were just wonderful. But that was, all sent by God. It was all sent by God. If I would have thought about doing that, then Stuart, you're out of your mind. If I would have thought about, you know, doing what Rudy's mother wanted me to do, I said, Stuart, you're crazy. You're crazy. I didn't think about it. In my heart, it said, do it. It enabled me to move to New York. Even this Zoom thing, if I would have thought about doing this for 5 years now, staring into a computer and doing Kundalini yoga, you're out of your mind. And look, it's helping people, it's helping me, it's giving life. But trust your intuition, trust your connection with God, trust your connection with higher, and use the exercise to open and go up in the cosmos and demand results. But don't use them to aggrandize yourself. They have to be for some spiritual purpose. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Thank you.
I hope it's clear what I'm talking about. I think we all suffered from that. I know I suffered from that when I was a young man. I really suffered badly. I spent years of my life, hiding from money and not wanting success and poo-pooing it. And then one day I had no choice. I had to learn how to do it. Buy that building. My teacher gave me an order. It was one of the greatest things anyone ever asked me to do. It got me over Stuart. Like when I said to Chris, how would you like to go to Kathmandu? Out of nowhere, I called her up one day and started an ashram. And she did it. Transformed her. Totally transformed her.
Thank you for that.
No, you're welcome, Chris. It took so much guts, but it took more than guts. It took an inner voice saying, yes, you have to do this. Does anyone else have a question? And just to finish this, meditation is a pile of crap if it doesn't have practical results in your life. I mean it. It's nonsense. And I shouldn't say something about that, about the thing I do more than anything else in the world. It has to have practical results in your life. It has to show growth in your life, maturity, depth, surrender, letting go, feeling gratitude, compassion in yourself. And if it doesn't have some kind of practical results, it's a bunch of nonsense, walking around being spaced out. And that's what I always loved about Rudy's work. It had practical results in life. It made life better. Okay, if there are no more questions, and there'll be the thing I announced about Sunday class, it'll start in May. So the next few weeks, there'll be class on Sunday night. There are no more questions. Thank you. And again, as I always say, God bless you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. There'll be class tomorrow evening. And if you want to attend that, if you want to be on that European Israeli schedule that I set up because people can't come to class at 2:00 in the morning, the time differences, just let me know and I will put your name on that. It takes 2 seconds. Put your name on that list. And you'll be able to attend the class on Sunday afternoon or any one of those classes during the week. Okay, God bless you all. Thank you. I'm looking forward to tomorrow and I'm looking forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Nice, Stuart.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.